Tonight, my friend, you are a nightcap because it is Friday. It is Friday and I've been drinking since 3 o'clock this afternoon. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Machtails from the Cantina. Tonight, I have a very, very, very special guest, an old friend of mine that I met back in 1999, and I've been friends with him since, Mr. Alphie Jimenez. Alphie, thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to see a face during these wretched times.
Amen to that, man. Amen to that. Cheers. What are you drinking tonight?
Well, instead of blue beer, it's chocolate malt beer.
Oh, you got a chocolate milk stout.
Yeah.
Those are delicious, man.
They're very milky.
Yes, that's Four Hands Brewing. I like those guys a lot, man.
It's good. It's good stuff.
You were always like Sean's crazy Filipino friend that became a friend of mine. You know, you went to my wedding. I went to your dad's funeral. We've bonded over the years since. I didn't even really ask you to be a part of the Real Fans of the Saga. I just needed you to be a part of it.
We kind of fell into place because Sean and I are like Sith Lords, you know? We met in 1996 in radio school. You know, I'd gotten out of college, got a bachelor's degree, and I didn't want to do corporate world stuff, even though that's what I do now. We hit it off pretty quick. He said it was quarter Filipino. I didn't believe him. For some reason, Star Wars came up. From there, it was it. We just became really good friends. We hung out. I've got a lot of friends from college and stuff. I actually talked to him more than just about anybody.
You guys were in radio together.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, you guys are no longer in radio. My memory serves me well. Were you Wendy's intern?
I was Wendy's intern at Q101. And ironically, this was when she married Jimmy Mack. Because I remember I was her intern when they were getting married.
That's how long ago it was.
I didn't know Jimmy Mack at the time, but I remember the name. So when he started circling around, I'm like, wait a minute.
How come you got out of radio? And do you regret it?
I do regret it, actually. You know what? It was economics. You know, I mean, it was fun, but you know, I was already starting to turn a corner. I think I was 25, going on 26. And I'm like, wait a minute, I got to get a career in line here. And I just, you know, I went into corporate sales, but I still worked in radio for another two years, actually on the air at a couple more stations. But, you know, life was happening and I started dating my girlfriend, who's now my wife. One thing led to another, and I'm like, you know what? I think I had my fun. I got to get married. But part of me still misses that world. But I know it's a very different industry now than it was when we were there.
Are you happy with what you're doing now?
Well, I mean, I'm happy with what I do because I could just, you know, I'm flexible. I'm in control of what I do. You know, it definitely pays the bills. But I got that kind of personality where it's just, you know, I'm not really a corporate guy, even though I'm in the corporate industry. You know, I write home loans for a living. You know, I was an econ major in college. You know, I just kind of went through the motions and got a degree. And I had no idea what a career path or a career plan was when I was in college. I just kind of went through it.
And here you are now.
And here I am now. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I've been very successful. It's been good. Part of me, you know, still wishes I was still in the media world somehow. But again.
Well, you kind of are because you're in The Force Among Us, The Force Within Us, and The Real Fans.
And plus, you know, with our Mandalorian mashup group, I mean, we do get a lot of Star Wars exposure. And I don't think I'm too far off base when I say Sean and I are at that somewhat upper echelon of Star Wars fandom, groupdom, because, you know, the 501st, you know, they know who we are. And we know who that we're up there with people as a recognized entity, if you will. We're not unknown. I mean, you say the Mando mashups and Sean and Alphie, especially in the Chicago area. If you're in the Star Wars fandom, you know who we are.
It's Sean's birth child. And was he the one that, you know, asked you to join or he didn't even ask you to join? He just said, hey, Alphie, you're going to wear this.
I'm part of, I was probably dragged, you know, morphed into it almost by default.
Kind of like you were in My Film Projects.
Yeah, you know, because I'm the one who actually started costuming between the two of us.
So you started before Sean even?
I did. And go back to Celebration 2, almost all of them were just thrown together hodgepodge costumes. I loved the fact they were just people having fun, where they weren't going into detail.
It was all about the fun. It wasn't about impressing anybody.
Yeah, or particulates and, you know, that's not exactly how a blaster should, you know, I'm like, whatever, you know. He's the one who officially started it, and You know, he makes the costumes. I actually developed a lot of the concepts though, like, you know, like the Smurfette and the Chicago Bear Fett, the Sport Fets. I kind of came up with the concept, but he's the brainchild of actually making them because he's extremely creative with making that stuff, you know. And then the superhero ones, that's really all him. He made all those, like the Batman and the Green Hornet and the Wonder Woman Fett. I mean, those are all him. But it all started with that American flag Fett. He just saw, remember that Stormtrooper from C3? That was the inspiration for the American flag Fett.
Celebration 3, there was like the hippie trooper.
Yeah.
There was the American flag trooper. There were a lot of like really out of the box.
Celebration 3 started, I think, people started doing mashups before we even knew what a mashup was. And now mashups are a big thing now, you know, and as we know, celebrations have morphed into this giant thing that we don't even care for, you know what I mean? It's like, what happened to the exhibit rooms and everyone just having fun? Now it's like lines and panels. I need to make sure I'm in here, you know, and, you know, is there a safe space? I'm like, no, hold up.
You've been to a lot of celebrations.
I have.
What is your favorite celebration?
2 and 3 are both in one. I think those two.
Very similar, yes.
Very similar. So much fun. You go there, you loaf. You had those exhibit rooms with the props. Remember that? And the spaceships.
Yeah.
And then they had that one room where they were doing all the commercials 24/7.
The Star Wars Early Bird Certificate Package, new from Kenner.
It was like Dan Madsen opened the door at Celebration 1, and then 2 and 3 were very, very, very similar.
Yes.
They were both in the same venue. They had the same vibe. They got a little bit bigger, you know.
They were more pure than they are now. They're so corporate. And I remember 2 and 3, in particular Celebration 3, you'd be standing in line at Starbucks with, you know, RSA.
Yeah, Peter Mayhew.
Violet Ling was like, you know, at Starbucks with us. So we're like, you know, we didn't say anything to her, but there she was getting coffee. We're like, hey. I had a cigarette with Rick McCallum. Hey, he's like, hey, can I bum a smoke? Sure. You know, this is in the back room, you know, back of the convention. He's like, here he's having a cigarette with his an assistant. He's, hey, you want to smoke? I'm like, sure.
It's funny, when I went to Celebration 1, I remember going to the Jar Jar Jam. There was Ahmed Best's concert with his band.
Are you up for a good time? Are you sure? You gotta have a good time now. Okay, I want to introduce Ahmed and his band, his friends. Okay, these guys are gonna rock. They're gonna rock the house. You guys are gonna have a good time. Let's put it up, yeah!
And Rick McCallum was there having drinks with us, and there were some Asian guys trying to shop their film project to him, and he was like, yeah, give me your information. And it was very like you said, kind of hands-on, grassroots, intimate, you know. Nobody was separated, you know. So what would you say your worst celebration was?
No, I can't say Anaheim because I was so in and out of that one because I was only there for one day, which I did enjoy actually. You know, I hate to say it, and it's really my own fault. And it's not the celebration itself. It's just what I did with it was Chicago.
Chicago was your least favorite.
Only because of what I did with it, which was almost nothing. Because, you know, we've been to so many celebrations. It was in our backyard. I just kind of took it for granted. Didn't really do anything. I just loafed. And then that kind of got old. And we just, you know, we got burnt out almost from day one just because we've done this so many times.
Yeah.
Since it was in our backyard, we just kind of like, oh, yeah, whatever, you know.
There was no road trip. There was
no whatever. And
so I got to go to McCormick Place for 4 days.
Yeah, you know, I've been there, you know, I don't know, many times for other events, and you know, Sean and I, you know, agreed that we kind of took it for granted and didn't sponge it for more than we should have. You know, when you travel abroad, you're on edge a little bit more. You're on your toes. You're a little bit more driven to get whatever you need to do.
Yeah, right.
Here,
right.
it's kind of goes here. I can just do whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have sponged it just a little bit more than I did, you know.
I know that you have been on many, many toy hunts with Sean. What would you say your best find on those hunts were, and what was your biggest regret? My
best thing that I ever got, actually Sean got it for me. It is the Micro Machines TIE Defender. It's super rare. And they're still about $200 on eBay. I mean, these things were $16 if you could find it. But
Yeah.
the TIE Defender, because I collect a Micro Machines Star Wars action fleet. That's my thing.
Yes. You're a big micro machine guy. I know that.
Right. And the funny thing is now, if you look in retro, like, back in the 90s, Star Wars stuff was about 20 some years old. I've now had this for 20 years.
Wow.
Does that make sense? Like so.
Yeah, right. Like when you got that, the vintage stuff wasn't even 20 years old.
Yeah, about 20. Yeah, even Star Wars was maybe 23 years old at the time, 24 years old.
Yeah, I mean, like when it first came out, but like you could still get the toys in 80.
A lot of my Micro Machines I've got 20, 25 years ago already.
Oh.
So,
how did you get into the Micro Machine craze? I mean, that's really your niche.
Well, what I started, because I started with one TIE Defender with Sean when we were in radio school. I saw this TIE Defender at a local Toys R Us. Not TIE Defender, I'm sorry, TIE Interceptor.
Okay.
And I'm like, I'll just buy this. This is all I want. No, I ended up buying every one I could get my hands on, and I just morphed, and I love them. I love the mini vehicles because they're easy to collect and they're extremely easy to display in a display case because they're not big. That's why I've never got into collecting figures, because they're kind of big and bulky, you know what I mean? That's my figure collection. If I collected all my little figurines, it's probably about 300. Droids, the Grimorian guards, everything. I got it all. I'm a big display case guy, so they all fit in beautifully, and that's how it all started.
You were the one that kind of introduced me to the curio cabinet, the display case.
Well, I remember you saw mine, and you had one like 2 months later. I'm like, Chris must have liked that.
Yeah, but and then I ended up buying 12 more cases.
Yeah, but those display cases, the showcase design ones, I think are the best because they're just the way they are.
They're made for action figures. What would you say the one piece that you're missing from your collection is?
I hate to say it, and I'll never buy it because it's not worth the money. The droid control ship. Micro Machine.
The droid control ship.
You see, it's the freaking piece of crap, circular droid control ship. It's $200 on eBay.
No,
I'm not paying that. If anyone who collects Micro Machines will see my collection and say it's pretty damn good. So
now you collect trains, cars, and planes.
I do.
You think the Micro Machine scale was kind of more in line with those, and maybe that's what you're drawn to it?
Well, you know what it is? I like small vehicles because they're easy to collect. So my airliners, I have about 40 to 50 1/400 scale airliners, and they're easy to fit in my display case. It was all about my display cases. And then, I collect the die-cast metal cars, but it's just all stuff that I can display. That's what it's all about.
and stuff that doesn't take up a lot of real estate.
Right, because, when you collect all the vintage stuff, I mean, there's a lot of it out there, and you need a semi-truck like Sean to put it all in. And you know this with your cases, if you display figures, they bulk out pretty quick in the display case. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because,
you got to tear them up, or, and you get to the point where you just look like it's like a dryer. Everything's just shoved in there.
Right.
Like you went like one of your cases at the old house. I mean, you just had everything in there. Like, because everything bulked up because of your figures. The only solution is to get more display cases.
Yeah, and then, right now I'm in a process where I'm looking at my collection, and I'm like, well, if I can't display it, I don't really need to store it. I might as well sell it, It's like if it doesn't go into this.
Our stuff is so hard to sell sometimes, especially if it's vintage. And if you don't have a doubles of it,
Unlike Sean, we've sold a couple of our items. Do you have any seller's remorse on anything that you've sold over the years?
Remember that Darth Vader flag that you bought off me a couple of years ago?
Now, you've been in The Force Among Us, The Force Within Us, the real fans of the saga. Do you have a favorite of those?
You know what? I still like the first one because my kids are in it when they're young. When Ethan's wearing that, who's your daddy onesie.
Yeah. And he's got the Yoda ears on.
And I apologize because I know you wanted that Stormtrooper one, but the Who's Your Daddy worked because it's your baby. Who's your daddy? Me.
But your kids are in the real fans of the saga.
Yeah, they're in the real fans of the saga.
But they're older.
I love the first one. The sequence of Sean and I getting ready, and I'm practicing with the lightsaber. you know, and as you know, I'm a Sifu in Kung Fu, so you can see the weaponry usage there. It's like the Kung Fu I got there when I was in college. I was part of the NIU Taekwondo club, and then some guy was, hey, you want to know Kung Fu? I'm like, sure. So I started with that club. I came in and out of that club a while ago, and then, you know, I just kept doing the martial arts because, you know, growing up, I thought I knew martial arts because I was Filipino. It didn't work.
I'm sure you have a lot of Filipino friends that are not martial arts experts.
No. I just one of those things, you know, like growing up and watching Bruce Lee movies, you know, everyone wants to be Bruce Lee, but do you have what it takes to actually learn a martial art? No, it took a long time. I mean, a really long time for me to get to Sifu status. It was 12 years. I'm still not even close to being what you call a master at it. I mean, I'm just instructor level.
And it kind of makes you appreciate the arts even more.
I've been away from my club now for a few years, and it's been challenging to stay in it as far as like shape wise, you know, but I attained it. I'm a Sifu in Kung Fu. Not anybody can say that.
You know, one of the things that we weren't able to showcase like we originally wanted to was that Star Wars fans have lives and they have jobs. We filmed your kids and your wife in the first documentary. In the real fans of the saga, we filmed you as kind of the corporate banker.
Yeah.
It was never really captured on film, so
it is shocking what some people do. Because do you remember when we were at your house, the old house, and we're on WGN, and you know, Larry Podash goes, hey, so which one of these guys is married? And I'm like,
we're all.
I'm like, hey, here's my ring.
Friends are with us. We're going to be here all morning long. He's got a whole nother level of Star Wars memorabilia, and I have at least 2 more costume changes. We are live around town at the home of Cris Macht, acclaimed Star Wars director. We'll be back with more a little bit later on.
Pat, we have a little more time. I'd like to know, by a show of hands, how many of those Star Wars characters are single?
What the hell was that, you know?
Yeah, we were all married, actually.
Star Wars fans and nobody's single. Look at that. Robin can't even look for Robin.
I don't believe it. They're all telling lies. All right. Thanks, Pat.
Thanks, guys.
Where does that assumption come from that if you're a Star Wars geek that you're, you know, not married, living in your parents' basement? We have our own basements, you know?
We've been trying to break the stereotypes since the first documentary in 2007, and here we are, you know, 14 years later, still trying to break down the stereotypical wall. You're the only one that's featured in the real fans of the saga that your wife does not appear.
Right.
I never asked Grace. I should ask Grace if she wants to be a part of it, maybe for season 2. Yeah. Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing that she's not in season 1? And do you think she would appear in season 2?
You know what? I don't know if she'd be into it just because she's just whatever.
Has she seen the real fans of the saga?
Yeah, she has. And then I'm like, you know, you guys do your thing. I mean, it was a stretch to have, you know, the lightsaber battle at my wedding with Sean. I mean, Jesus. And that was back in 2002 when the Star Wars weddings were still not really a huge thing yet.
You were the one that was responsible for bringing the lightsabers.
Yeah, I think I brought about 6 of them.
Yeah.
Because you weren't expecting that. You didn't know we were going to do that.
No, because, you know, my first wedding, I had a very over-the-top Star Wars wedding. You know, it was 501st. My mom, you know, overstepped the bride. She was dressed as Queen Amidala. It was so bad. It was so bad. And then when I got remarried, I was like, I don't want any Star Wars. And then, of course, you brought the lightsabers. And I was like, you know what? I smiled. And Michelle smiled, too. And we were like, that's pretty cool, man.
Well, it was subtle and it was pretty because, you know, they're glowing and it was dark in the room. So they lit up nicely. And
it didn't overshadow, but it was an appropriate thing because we came out to Star Wars music.
Mr. and Mrs. Christian and Michelle Macht.
You're a dad of 2. You're a husband. You do the corporate world thing. How do you think your world is different now than it was pre-COVID-19?
I think it's a lot different actually because, you know, a lot of nominal things don't matter anymore because, you know, another thing I'm into is I love German cars. I drive a BMW. I don't really care anymore. I just, you know, just have a car and we drive around. I'm not really into things I don't need as much as I thought I did. You know, but it does put into perspective what's really important, you know, because we're not eating out. We're not looking for that instant, you know, gratification in things. You know, we just, you know, we're kind of on unprecedented times, and precedent in my mind is code for dangerous. We could have some economic calamity, and we're not out of this, even though they might lift the shelter in place. We're not out of this, so look at my kids. They can't go to the pool this summer and they can't hang out at the mall. So a lot of things we took for granted are not there. And I don't know if we'll get back to that yet. Just those nominal things that just you think you took for granted.
So you're saying that because of the state of affairs that we're in, you've kind of appreciated the small stuff more.
Yeah, the small basic things, like your time. Like, what do you do with your time when you have a lot of it,
Yeah.
You work out or do you eat like crap? And I think I kind of ate like crap most of the time. And you study your relationships and see what they're about because, you're stuck with your wife more than you probably ever have been.
Yeah.
You're going to have moments where you're probably about to you're going to kill each other.
What's your day-to-day like now in COVID-19 era?
I just get up, I do my work, and just kind of monitor my clients, my transactions, and then just try and fish for new business. That's really it.
Is Grace working from home now too?
Yes. So she's got a battle station set up in the master bedroom. She's up there all day. It's actually a pretty nice setup. So yeah.
And your kids are at the age where you don't really need to be over their shoulder.
No. They're on their Xboxes all day. They don't care.
Okay. Now, do your kids miss school right now?
A little bit, just because, the e-learning was a disaster. It really was. The retention was bad. And, once they said that the grades couldn't go down, they're like, forget it. We don't care, because they're 12 and 14. We're fortunate they're at the age so we don't have to kind of nurture them. But if I had an infant during this, oh my God, an infant would be tough to deal with when you're home and you're trying to work,
My daughter's going to be 6 in August. She's kind of at the right age because she really hasn't experienced real school life where she's missing that. The cool thing about the Real Fans of the Saga was we got a chance to know each other more over our 20-plus year friendship, and you got to know Bo.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite Bo moment?
I do have a favorite Bo moment. So we're at Sean's Halloween party. We're just doing whatever, and then he comes up to me. He goes, "Hey, man, I got these for you." So he got me all the bronze little Micro Machine ships. Well, I don't have these in my collection. I'll take these. Yeah, I got these for you because Bo's never been in my house, but he knew I was a Micro Machine collector. So he went out of his way to give me these Micro Machines that he didn't really care for. I didn't need them, but I did.
And he thought of you.
And he thought of me, specifically me. So he got a little brown So these little Micro Machines things, these things aren't worth 15 cents.
But the thought.
Yeah, so he went out of his way to give these to me, and I'm like, well, that's awesome, man, because they are Micro Machines. They are the bronze, So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And this is when he was sick. He knew he was sick. He already lost a lot of the weight, so he was already on his way to. I'm not sure how much he knew about himself, but you can tell that he was not well.
Yeah.
And you could tell in his eyes that he kind of knew it was bad. So
you went to the memorial with Sean.
Yes.
So I was in Hawaii at the time, and I put together the tribute video.
And now for something completely different.
I'm sure it was more than emotional for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, because he's one of us, especially with a daughter. When you think about a family, it's like you don't want to see your daughter have to go through that, lose her dad at that young of age.
Yeah, right. You know what? It was crazy because I was outside today with my daughter. My daughter talks about Bo quite a bit. And she goes, it's really sad that Mr. Bo is gone and he's not with us because Cora's not getting a new daddy. I told her too. I said, I lost my dad when I was 7 years old and I didn't get a new daddy. And,
right.
It's, like you said, it goes back to the COVID-19 state of mind. You kind of appreciate those small things that we might take for granted.
Yeah, and so when he knew he was going to go, I mean, he's like, my Star Wars collection doesn't matter. Here, you guys just take it, do whatever. I mean, that's not important to him right now. It's my life with my daughter and all that. So with this COVID-19 thing, yeah, you really have to reevaluate what's really important,
Unfortunately, you have the least amount of screen time. And I don't know why. I don't know why, because you live so close to me. Would you be interested in having more screen time in season 2?
Yeah.
And Do you have any hard feelings about not having as much screen time as me, Sean?
Not really, because I wasn't, I was just, we were just feeling my life as a normal person. Whatever you can do to enhance, the real life of a Star Wars fan, because obviously, I guess with me in particular, there's a lot more than I do than just Star Wars stuff. There's a lot more things that I have going on with my life as far as like things that I do.
Yeah.
Sean is all about Star Wars and comic books and stuff. He's never gone on vacation that wasn't a theme park,
Yeah, right. Like more.
I'm an expert martial artist, and I actually run the largest NIU alumni group outside of NIU. I'd like to do, if we can still do it, is come to my martial arts, place where I train on a Saturday morning to show where I got my martial arts lightsaber skills from. If you go back to The Last Jedi, when they were in that throne room, like those red guys, those Praetorian guards, whatever, these guys knew Kung Fu. And I remember when I saw them without their helmets, they were Chinese guys. Yeah, they were Kung Fu. I saw that right away. Come on. There's no Kung Fu in Star Wars, But there was in that scene,
There was in that scene. Now, I'm going to do a quick game with you, either or. You pick one or the other. I know you're not a baseball guy, but you're a big, big fan of football.
Yes.
Would you say you like football or Star Wars more?
Ooh. That's a hard one to say.
Put you on the spot there, man.
Yeah, it does put me on the spot because I grew up with both. I'm going to say slightly more Star Wars than football. It's just a smidgen, man.
All right, now you have very, very different musical tastes than me, Bo, and Sean.
Oh, yeah.
Would you say that, who do you prefer more, The Cure or the Smiths?
That's not even negotiable. It'd be the Smiths all day.
I would recommend Johnny Marr, the guitar player for the Smiths. He played on one Modest Mouse album. It's my favorite Modest Mouse album ever, and his guitar.
Well, Johnny Marr did a lot. He did a lot with the Pretenders, Oasis. Yeah, a lot of pickup bands. But now he's doing his own thing, and now he's playing Smith songs, and he sounds phenomenal.
He's always been phenomenal,
Oh yeah, and he is the blood of the Smiths. He's the one who wrote all the songs. Everything's Morrissey's. Not really.
Right.
Morrissey was the front man. He had the voice, but it was actually Marr who wrote most of that stuff.
Encased Meats. I know you're a big meat guy.
Yeah.
Or The Last Jedi.
Oh, Encased Meats.
Okay.
That foie gras dog from Hot Dogs was something else, man.
Yeah, you're a big meat eater. I know that.
$9 hot dog. Pardon my French.
Would you say Revenge of the Sith or The Force Awakens?
You know what? That's a tough one too. I'm gonna have to go with The Force Awakens just because it felt a lot more pure to me.
No kidding. Force Awakens over Revenge, yeah.
Yeah, I think overall, purity. Because Revenge of the Sith, there's so much has happened at that point, and you kind of knew what was going to happen. Force Awakens with Rey eating that loaf of bread and zipping across the horizon. I love that whole scene when they're in the desert.
What would you say your first concert was?
New Order.
If you were on the Battle of Scarif and you were about to die, what 3 CDs must you have with you?
Like I'm on a suicide mission, right? So I may not come back. Okay, we'll do Louder Than Bombs from the Smiths, Technique from New Order. Yeah, I would go with The Wedding Present, Watusi album from 1994.
Now, you lost your father not too long ago.
Correct.
This is a segment of the show that I tie into Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking about the Battle of Scarif, your father would be proud. What is your achievement in life that really, really made your father like, man, I'm really proud of my son for doing that?
I would say, actually, and I hate to say it because it's still a stingy subject for me, is getting in the radio. Because when I got at Q101, he was bragging to everyone, hey, my son works at Q101. He was so proud that I got in there, Because I had my brush-ins with media. I had an interview with VH1 in like 1999.
Oh, no kidding.
They wanted me to send them a videotape and everything. I'm like, wow. I almost got it.
Wow.
Interview. They said I looked too young. I'm like, oh my God.
You look too young?
Yeah, I was 26 at the time, but I looked like I was 20. They're like, hey, you just look too young. I'm like,
oh my God.
Fuck,
You would never hear that now. You would never.
No. But he was proud, I got married and started having, had kids,
Going to your dad's funeral, I know he was, hearing the stories, I know he was a very, very, very proud grandpa,
Yeah, because, growing up, we didn't see him much because he was always working, just to make sure that we made it,
Yeah, right.
Once we did, and I think that was his final, because I'm the youngest, so once I got, the house and married and stuff, and started having, okay, he's good.
Yeah.
We don't need we don't have to be there anymore, So I think my wedding too is probably another one for him because he knows finally the youngest one's done. Because after that point,
so out of your siblings, you're the youngest.
I'm the youngest, yeah.
You're okay. So that was kind of a milestone for him as well. It's like, my youngest son got married. I'm done. This is behind me now. While we're on the subject of nostalgia, what was your favorite toy as a kid, and what was your first Star Wars toy as a kid?
Well, my first toys were Star Wars. That's because I was 4 when it came out. So outside of the stuffed animals, it was Star Wars. I'm pulling up some relics here from 1977, but the first Star Wars toy, right here, is a C-3PO.
And that's yours from when you were a kid?
That's yours from when I was a kid.
Wow, and he still he doesn't flop over.
No. And right here, I never read it, but I always kept it. The pages are all yellow. Still has the photographs in there and everything.
You said you never read it, but you kept it.
Yeah, I mean, I got it when I was like 5 years old.
God, it looks like it's been read 100 times.
Well, it's been kept pretty well here. I mean, I've had this for 43 years now, so.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of stuff from my kid, but I do have a few figures. Like I said, I'm looking at a Darth Vader and R2-D2, and I got that rodeo controlled R2-D2 that's about this big. And
what's a favorite piece from your collection?
Favorite piece from my collection, I'll show it to you. I got it at one of the first toy shows I went to, because you can't buy them here. See this right here, this Super Star Destroyer?
Yeah.
I bought that at a toy show. You cannot get these in the United States. So I saw it at the toy show in probably about 2001. And I'm like, I want this. I don't care how much it is. It was like $75. I'm like, I don't care.
And it's your favorite piece?
It is, because it's an import. You can't get them here.
Now, is that part of the Micro Machine collection?
It's not. It's part of another collection. There's a Super Star Destroyer, the Blockade Runner, and then a regular Star Destroyer. But I do know that they were sold in South America and Europe, but they were never sold in the U.S.
Wow.
At least the Super Star Destroyer wasn't. The other two, I think, were.
You've been to a lot of Star Wars celebrations. I've been to all of them in the United States and a couple overseas. And the thing that drives me bonkers, and we kind of captured this in the real fans of the saga, is that there's so many, especially in Anaheim, so many scantily clad cosplayers.
I know there was a couple of times I was a little bit thought it was odd that there was so much nudity and with so many kids around, but I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I like it, but
Of course you do.
Yeah, slave lay on me all day long.
I'm Anaheim.
Cosplay is not consent, but when you dress like that, I feel like they're inviting the eyes and the mind to dwell on how they're dressed.
I mean, the Slave Leia count at Anaheim was off the charts. And
what do you think the hottest cosplay you ever saw was?
Oh, hands down was Wampa Girl. Wampa Girl was on another level hot. She had a great body and, that little fur bikini. I mean, I was like, man, this chill, man,
That was before they put up the signs, cosplay is not consent.
Yeah, but you know what? I thought, and this is really weird to me because I kind of like, fair-skinned women, but I thought the most beautiful girl, at least in Chicago, was that one girl. She had the long dress, and she had the original New Hope crawl on her dress. That girl was beautiful. I was like, man.
I got to keep you away from my wife. You're into fair-skinned women.
Yeah. But she wasn't scantily clad at all. And I'm like, man, this girl's beautiful. I was like, wow.
Yeah, right. It was beauty on a different.
But in Chicago, since it was colder, you didn't see as much of that at all, really. The Slave Leia costume by default is a very revealing costume. So,
It is. Which leads me to my next game. This is what we call Shag, Marry, or Kill. Carrie Fisher in the Slave Leia bikini, Padme in the episode 2 dinner scene, or Ula in the dancer outfit from Jabba's palace?
I would shag Padme, marry Leia, and kill Ula.
Okay.
Well, she gets killed anyway, so.
She gets killed anyway. Is there anyone I didn't mention that you would like to see in that scenario?
Maybe in a bacta tank, Jyn Erso. Yeah.
Jyn Erso in the bacta tank. Okay. You know, I love Rogue One. It's my favorite Star Wars movie, but Jyn Erso has become more like a sister figure to me. It's somebody I cannot be attracted to.
Really? Oh, I think she's smoking, man.
I mean, don't get me wrong, she's beautiful, but I cannot be sexually attracted to that lady.
Oh, I think she's really good looking.
Oh, she's beautiful. She's beautiful. I was very, very fortunate to get a photo with her at Celebration Orlando in 2017 because it was a shit show with the Tops photo and autograph session. Okay, moving on. This one is called Plead the Fifth. You can plead the fifth on one of these 4 questions. Does your wife have a Slave Leia bikini outfit?
Plead the fifth.
Have you ever seen the Star Wars porno? Have you ever gotten drunk and thrown up?
Yes.
Have you ever made love to your wife while thinking about another Star Wars character?
I'll plead the fifth.
I'll let you go on that one. Last one. Have you ever masturbated to Slave Leia in the bikini outfit?
No, Padme in a bacta tank.
Padme in I thought it was Jyn Erso in the bacta tank.
Well, anyway, any of those chicks in the bacta tank.
This last one, I'm going to share a screen with you. These are eBay auctions, all based on micro machines. This one is called E-Wing Red 6 Porkins Assault Ship. This one is called Huge Lot of Star Wars Micro Machine Vehicles, Playsets, and Figures. This one is called Star Wars Action Fleet Micro Machines Insane Lot, 38 pieces. What sold for the most?
Because you know what? This first one, a lot of these are pretty common.
And these are eBay auctions. The seller called this one the Insane Lot.
It's a decent collection, yeah.
And then this one here is the E-Wing Red 6 Porkins Assault Ship Lot.
I'm going to go with this one.
Okay, this one, you are correct. You are correct. How much do you think this one sold for?
$450.
This one sold for $600.
Whoa!
That does not include the shipping. This one sold for $500.
Okay.
Does not include the shipping. And this one, like you said, are common. This one sold for $424.
Okay. This one's got the most ones that are pretty easy to find regularly.
It looks, based on the photos, it looks nicer because there's some in the box.
Yeah, but he's got multiples. You don't need 3 Sebulba potted pods.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's a lot of.
You don't need 2 of those red ships. You don't need 2 Millennium Falcons. And those X-Wings don't have their laser gun things on the side.
Do you have all these items here?
The only ones I don't have Darth Tyrannus's golden sail barge thing. And I don't have Jabba's sail barge because I already have a sail barge model.
You know what's funny? I think I have the Jabba sail barge and the Darth Tyrannus ship.
I got it. I might have to work them off if you don't.
Now, are you still collecting?
Yeah, if I see it, I'll add it. If I see a loose, ATST, something I can add because. But if that sail barge, both those sail barges, I think I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna hunt for those.
Wait, man, I know you're a hard guy to get, and I appreciate you spending your Friday night with me.
No problem, man.
Cheers.
Oh, here's you know what? You're kind of a collector. This is one of my favorite collections. It's not Star Wars related. It's the Empire Carpet Man bobblehead.
Oh yeah, Chicago's very own, man.
You don't see this too often.
No, I have a lot of bobbleheads, but that one is not in my collection.
And if you see Long Duck Dong Funko Pop, you gotta let me know, okay?
Is it like a $500 Funko Pop?
It's really hard to find, man.
16 Candles, another Chicago is very own,
Yeah. So.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely,
we will see you next time on Machtails from the Cantina.
Right, okay, man.
Come on, everybody. Wash your hands and stay safe.
All right, take it easy.
you can take Star Wars with you. It goes wherever you go.